We're back again with Shoot Support, where we take a look at your questions from the community and answer them. What's the first question from Jennifer?
Yeah, so this is from Jennifer Faye Gao, who is lives in Australia, and she was kind of working on an experiment from earlier this year. And so back in the 70s, she did a lot of protest
Uh-huh.
photography, and she did that again this year. And the old ones are in black and white, and the new ones were in color. They were shot in
Interesting.
color, but she has redone them in black and white. And
Okay.
and so kind of the question is for this experiment, I converted the images to black and white to see whether they convey a similar set of meanings. I'm not
Okay.
sure if they do. The issues are different, but I see the passion, commitment, and confrontation as similar. Opinions, please. So I think it's kind of the idea of taking
Yeah.
some of the old stuff that she had and that was from the 70s, shot on film,
Do they
and the
convert?
new photos. And so I think this is like an example of one of the older ones,
Yeah.
and then I know this is an example of one of the newer ones. So,
So I guess your question is, do they convert over? Why don't you just scroll through them? Let
like,
me,
would this make a cohesive project? I think is what she's thinking. Like, you know, could you have this as an experiment where you have them side by side?
well, here's the thing. There are different dates, and that's going to be obvious, and that's fine. See, obviously, that isn't going to mix with your 1970 shot because that's not a 1970 truck. But if you're creating a photo essay, you could explain that, because if there's a huge gap of many years between the first set and the second set. But that's kind of sounds to me like maybe even part of your story is the contrasting elements there. So yeah, and obviously that's a modern sign, Commonwealth Bank. It looks different, but that's there's your earlier one of your earlier shots. So I wouldn't mix them together. I don't know. Maybe it's you could have if you find contrasting photos in your essay, you could do that. But yes, the answer is yes. They can definitely work together. It's
And do
going
you think
to
they convey the same kind of meaning and
well,
uh, feel?
your subject is relatively the same, and so your I think your contrast is what's changed over the years. This is one of the originals, I believe. Yeah, you can see that's a film camera the guy's holding up there. So, there's various ways you can sort of determine the age. But that's going to be, Jennifer, that will be in your photo story, in your photo essay itself. You can tell that story. So that's how you would convey that. And
All
oh,
right.
hey, you know what, Jared? We missed my whole story.
Oh, you're right. We gotta go back and do that.
Speaking of
We were
which,
so busy getting diving in.
I know, which kind of answers this question. So
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
this is kind of like the story of going back. This is a story of going back to the same place. This is Point Lobos, California. I live about 5 minutes from it. I captured this shot, I believe, in mid '60s. I don't exactly remember. I think the camera that I used, now that I look at the frame, I think it was a Plabel Machina. Pretty cool camera. And it captured a 2.25 by 3.25 negative. So if you look at it, you notice it's a rectangle. 2.25 by 3.25 is almost a medium. It is a medium format. And that has a lot of grain in it. I don't remember what film I shot, but that was Point Lobos. I was a young photographer, and I believe I had just gotten that camera. It was a used camera. I believe I got it as a Christmas present. It came with, it was pretty cool, and I wish I still had it. It came with a number of film backs, meaning you could switch the film around. I had a couple of lenses. Pretty cool camera. I use this as an example in my book on composition here. This book, for those of you who are not familiar with it, this is my book on composition, and I use it as an example of what's called a U-shaped composition, which basically is another way of framing a photograph. There's probably a dozen or so different ways you can frame a photograph. And this one has the effect of looking through a curtain almost at the main subject, which is the rock in this case. Then I came back, was it last year, Jared? Yeah, last year about this time. We were shooting videos to go along with that course. And we went back to Point Lobos. This time I was shooting it as a in portrait mode rather than landscape as the other one was. And it was shot with, I believe, my Sony A7R3. The branch has deteriorated badly, but you can see, it's just a different viewpoint of the same shot, and literally a different viewpoint. The clouds were a lot moodier. There was a lot of difference, between these 2 days, shot many decades later. And you can certainly do that with your photo stories. Go back to the same location. All right, so what do we got next here?
All right, so now we've got a photo here, and we had somebody asking, so they shot, so here, family reunion series, shot in black and white, edited in color, and I think it said, I couldn't decide. So which do you think? So essentially, is this photo better color or black and white?
I see. Let's see them again. Let me move myself around. Let me look at them again. So there's your black and white, okay.
And there's your color.
Which one
And
works
there's
better?
them side by side.
Let me see them again. Just, this is really more, you're going to have to answer that question yourself because you're telling a story of these two people who I assume you knew well. Personally, I like the color. I like, here's my judgment call on color. Does it help you tell your story? And here's the reason why I believe it does. The color of her sweater helps, I believe, it tells that story. And also
The
really
sweater.
the backlighting in her hair. That's a significant point. And I think it gets lost in the black and white. Let's go back to the black and white. Let's see. It's there, but we lose those important colors. And I believe
Yeah.
you should leave it as a color. That's my call. But it's your photograph. I think it has a much more, what I get out of it in colors? I get the warmth because we're seeing, the love between them. But I feel like that color helps bring that out. Absolutely. Now that I look at it, yes, absolutely leave it as a color image. And do you see my reasoning? It's like,
Hmm.
do those added colors help you tell the story? Sometimes they distract from it. And then that's why it would be better as a black and white. But in this case, boom, the backlighting on the hair is just gorgeous,
Yeah.
and a little bit on the child's hair as well. Compositionally, what I would, you know, also would have been cool, maybe if you took a step or two over that way to the left and you would have gotten more of the backlighting on the child's hair as well. That could be but you've got a bit of it, and I think you should definitely keep it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could definitely see what you mean, especially with
Yeah,
going back to that. It stands
it
out way
loses
more
it.
in color.
It loses it for sure. So, yes, keep it as a color image. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and enable that bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. And as always, remember to get out and capture your own images of life.